Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team. And I'm Ken Dekker.
And I'm Ryan Dekker.
A little chip off the old block.
Some days.
What do you mean some days? Every day. So today we're going to talk about investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Kind of the whys and the differences and that kind of stuff. A little bit of interesting things. We're going to talk a little bit about your personal investment story.
Yeah, how I got started and what that looked like.
Yeah, so that should be fun. So when did you buy your first house?
Well, I bought my first house when I was 20, and I had been saving for it. I think I started when I was like 16 or something.
Okay.
Having parents as realtors kind of gets you a little bit excited about houses, so I never wanted that car or whatever. I just wanted the house. And so started young and made some good money tree planting in the summers and was able to go and purchase that home.
Okay. And so you bought it near the college because you were still going to college at the time?
Yeah, I was in my second year of college at the time, the 3-year program. And
what were you studying?
Studying business finance.
Okay.
And learning all about investing and the percentages you can expect and...
really high ones.
Yeah, I guess. Not there.
What?
Part of the reason, I don't know if we'll get into that today, but part of the reason I decided not to follow becoming a financial advisor in stocks, bonds, mutual funds is because I wasn't able to help people the way that I really wanted to be able to help people.
Cool. So what were your profs telling you?
Yeah. So we were talking about this the other day. My profs, they'd come to me and they'd be like, 5%, 10%, this is what you can expect from the stock market. Real estate's at 5 or 6%. And then I'd come back to you and be like, Dad, this is what they're telling me, but we're getting way more than that. This doesn't make sense. How is it only 5? And then you walked me through and we talked about how we're actually earning 20 to 30% on average for our clients through investing. And I wasn't in real estate back then.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, man. Blows people's minds. So I'd go back to my profs and they'd be like, that's not possible. You can't earn 20, 30%. No way. And in my first year of owning this property, I actually earned 138% in the first year.
138%. How did you do that?
So a couple of things.
Did your house more than double in 1 year?
No, but my equity did. The money I put in more than doubled in my first year.
Oh, okay.
So that's a big misunderstanding with people. They think that, if the property value goes up 6%, then your rate of return is 6%. But the reality is, it's how much money you have in, not how much, in regards to how much it's actually worth.
Okay. So how's that work?
All right. So we'll try and get into the numbers, even though we don't have a screen here. So let's say I went and bought a $300,000 property. It was close, and I put down $15,000, which is 5%. Okay. Which is what you're allowed if it's your personal residence.
Okay.
And you'd have to pay some CMHC and closing costs and all those other things. So it's going to be more than 15. And then let's say the property goes up 5% because we're in Ottawa, it's a fairly stable market, and it actually went up more than that the first couple of years I had it. However, we'll stick at that 5. So that's also 15%. 15,000.
On 300,000?
On 300,000.
Yeah, 5% of 300,000.
So that would be 100% rate of return.
Okay, so I made 15,000.
You have 15 in.
I invested 15,000. So yeah, I doubled my money in 1 year.
So you doubled your money in 1 year. But then the other things, there's a bunch of ways to make money in real estate. I believe there's 5 key ones. And so you've got your equity increase, which we just talked about. You've got your cash flow, which everyone thinks about. That's the money that's left over. And so let's say that was $2,000 in the first year. So now it's $17,000. And then I've got my mortgage pay down, which a lot of people forget about. This is a big portion, right? Your mortgage payment is 2 things. It's interest and principal.
Right.
So the money coming back to me in my principal pay down was about $5,000.
For the year?
For the year. Okay. So we're now at $22,000 to $15,000 invested. And then some other ways to make money would be your... sweat equity, which on this property, it was a 3-bedroom, and we were able to turn it into a 4-bedroom and then rent it for more money because we were renting to students. and it only cost me about $500 to make that transition.
And you were living in it at the
Oh,
time,
and I
right?
was living there too, yeah. So I was being paid to live here.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's
I like
better
houses
than-
that pay me to live
That's
there.
better than paying for a dorm.
Yeah.
You know, a 400 square foot room
Absolutely.
for, I don't know what they charge, probably 800,000 bucks a month or something.
It's a lot. Yeah. I don't know if it's that high, but it's high.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't quote me on that rate. I did not do any research on that. That's my disclosure.
Sounds good.
So that's unbelievable. So what happens when you get that kind of rate of return? Does it keep going up?
So a lot of people think, you're getting 138%, so the next year it must be 150%. The reality is it actually decreases, not increases.
Why does it decrease?
Well, the money I'm making is increasing. But the percentage to how much I now have in the property, that's decreasing.
Right.
So if my property's gone up $15,000 and I've got $5,000 in mortgage pay down and I had my $15,000 invested in the first place, I now have $35,000 in the second year. That's my money.
Right.
And so
Equity in a house. Yeah.
So now if I go up, let's say $20,000 the next year with all the different incomes, now I'm less than 100% because I have 35 and 20. What would that be? Just over 50, like 60% the second year.
Okay.
Because I've got way more money in.
Right. Right. Now, when you leverage a property, which is basically what you're doing, that's why you're getting that rate of return, because you're buying a property, which actually your property you were renting, so you had cash flow, you had a payment, you had equity growth, and you only put down 5%, and that's why the big
The numbers look like
the
that.
numbers. Yes. Now the reverse is true as well. If property values had gone down 5%,
I would have lost a bag load of money.
well, yes and no, because that's the interesting part. Let's say they went down 5%, then your 15,000 of equity is actually used up.
It's gone.
Right? It's gone. Which in the stock market, if you're in stocks, it could be you lose everything. But usually mutuals, you might, the worst year maybe is down 30% or 40%, so your money halved. But let's say real estate went down 5%, which I don't think it ever has in Ottawa since we've tracked it since like the 60s. It's gone down 5 times, and each time it went down in a year it was only like a couple percent. But let's say it went down to 5. That means your equity's gone. But the interesting thing is, your mortgage is still paid down $5,000. You still had your cash flow. How much did you say your cash flow to a year?
Well, I said 2, but it's more like 5.
It was more around 5.
Yeah.
So you actually got 10. So you grow. You're 10. You went down 15, but you went up 10 there. So it only went down 5,000. So it's not as bad as you might think. And then next year, the odds of it going down again are pretty slim, considering in the last 50 years, real estate's only gone down 5 times in the Ottawa market, a very stable market. So this is where it really works. Leveraging works when you have something stable, does not work when you have something that's very fluctuating like the stock market.
Very volatile.
Yeah. But worst case scenario, even in the US where prices went like 50% down, people that were smart, that had their rental properties that were rented, or they were living in them and they were making a payment, that payment, as long as they could continue to afford that, on paper they had lost money, but really they hadn't, because now property values are right back to where they were in 2008 at the crash. So all their equity's back.
And on top of that, when the crash happened, all those people who lost their homes needed somewhere to go. So rents actually went up.
Right.
So if you were in the States and you had a rental property and you were getting, let's say, $700 per unit, you'd now be getting $750 or $800 each, sometimes even like $950 or $1,000 per unit. So you're getting a big increase in cash flow, even though for a short term you're seeing a pretty significant decrease in the equity position.
But those people that held on
Did very well.
did well. So real estate investing is really about the long run, not the short run.
Absolutely.
Because the cost of acquisition and disposition of getting rid of the property afterward is fairly heavy, so you want to stretch it out long, right?
And they've also got tax sheltering capabilities and tax deferral and some really cool tax advantages, and we're not going to get into that today. However, buying and holding real estate has some really cool advantages. Because I made, before I even graduated, I had $100,000 net worth, where most of my friends were graduating with $30,000 to $60,000 in debt.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Because digging out of that hole, and I don't know how you dig out of a hole. I guess you'd have to dig
you can't
sideways.
Dig out. You got to climb out.
You got to climb out. You got to dig the walls down to fill it in or something. But it could take many years for them to get that debt paid off for their schooling. Mm-hmm. And during those many years, your $100,000 continues to grow
very quickly. Yeah.
And they don't have the opportunity of compound growth, because they don't have the money to put into it. So it's a significant difference. And there we go to the rule of 72 to figure out exactly what time frame that may take, right?
So what is the rule of 72? Because not everyone knows.
Okay, so the rule of 72 it's a simple kind of tool for figuring out how long it takes for your money to double based on the rate of return. Mm-hmm. So if you take 72, and let's say you've got your money in a high-yield interest-bearing account, making, let's say, a whopping 2%.
Yeah.
So 72 divided by 2 is going to equal 36. So it's going to take 36 years for my money to double.
So let's use the example of 100,000.
100,000.
So you have 100,000, and you go and you invest it in a savings account, and you want to retire, let's say, in 36 years from now, whenever, right. It's going to double once at 2%. So you're now at 200,000 in 36 years from now.
So if I start working, I get out of college at 20, 25.
Yep.
36 years later, how old am I? 61.
Yeah.
I want to retire, and my 100,000 is only worth 200,000. And the problem is, with a rate of inflation, let's say of 3%, which is we kind of average
buying power.
You've lost buying power. So your 200,000 now has the buying power of about 80,000 of when you first started. So that's interesting.
It's pretty scary. People come to me and they're like, the higher the return, the higher the risk. And I've been trying to teach people for years now that it's not the higher the return, the higher the risk. There are it just doesn't work that way.
Well, at 2%, it's guaranteed risk.
It's guaranteed risk.
Because your money buying power is going down. So let's say you get that 6%, or I think if you reinvest your dividends, the last 10 years or so, the stock markets, the S&P 500s ran about 8.3%. But let's say the 5%, because that is a compounding.
Let's go at 6%.
Or 6%, sorry.
Because it's easier for math.
Well, you can't divide 72 by 5?
No. So anyways, 6%, one is a good number because I hear different things. Some people tell me they're getting 3% in their stocks. Some say 12, some say 8, some say 4. Okay. It really varies. Yeah. So we're going to use 6 as a good example.
So 6 goes into 72 how many times?
12 times. Easy math. 12 times.
So at my $100,000, I'm going to retire at age 61.
Yeah.
So my 100,000 doubles at 12 years.
So you have 200.
200. It doubles again at 24 years.
400.
And it doubles again at
36
years, right?
So now you have 800,000.
800,000.
Which isn't terrible.
It's a lot better than the 200,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in today's money, right?
Right.
So it's not as, if I had 800,000 today or 800,000 in 36 years from now, there's a big difference in buying power.
Right. So if you're just joining us on the inside track on real estate, you might think you just joined a financial show. And really, buying and selling real estate is a major financial decision. And investing in real estate is a wise financial decision. So we're just discussing the ways of building wealth and using real estate as an avenue or a vehicle, and we're discussing the rule of 72. Mm-hmm. And so we just finished 6%. Now we're moving on to 12% because it's easier math, right? What do you mean, whoa?
Where can you get 12%?
Well, I know of a mortgage right now, a syndicated mortgage that's paying 10% and has a 2% bonus payout at the end of the construction period. So it's going to be about 12%. And that's available today. They could call us. We could introduce them to the company that's building. They're building actually high-rise apartments, and they're not selling them as condos. They're keeping them as rental properties. So this company, that's their business, is they rent apartments. So they're going to build a new building, and the financing they need is just until it's constructed. Then they take and remortgage through a regular bank, and they get the investor gets their money back. And that's going to be 12%.
Cool.
So they should call us at 613-860-4663 if they'd like the information on that and get referred to the mortgage broker that's handling that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So at 12%, that's
But are there more ways, or is that it?
well, I'm sure there's other ways.
So some of the other ways, I'll talk about them, are, because I'm trying to dig it out here, are REITs, which is a real estate investment trust. There's some land banking options out there as well, which I don't know any right now that are hitting 12.
Now, a number of those require
Yes.
sophisticated sophisticated investors, which means you have to qualify in Ontario, which means you got to have like a $1 million net worth without your house, or you're making $200,000 a year for the last 2 years without your spouse, or $300,000 family income. And so they're fairly tough to qualify for. You got to be investing $100,000 and at one time, and it can't be your entire investment. So there's some strict rules under some of those. Now, the one I was just talking about, no rules around that. And it qualifies for TFSA, RRSP, and the minimum you can invest is $25,000.
Very cool.
So it's a very cool program.
So for those of you out there saying 12% is impossible, well,
There you go.
you just heard otherwise.
And at 12%, your money's going to double 6 years, right?
Every 6 years.
So we take that same 36-year period because you graduated at 25 with $100,000. Now let's see what we can do with
Let's
that.
see what we can do.
Okay.
All right.
So 6 years. First 6 years, we got 200,000.
Yeah.
At 12 years, how
You
much?
got 400.
At 16,
800?
is it 16? No, it'll be 18 years. 800?
You messing
Yep.
up here? Yeah,
No,
18.
at 24 years,
You'd have 1.6
okay.
million.
And then at 30 years,
You'd have
2.4.
Whoa, 1.6.
Okay, go ahead.
have
You got the
3.2.
math in your head. Okay,
3.2 million.
Okay, in 36 years, you're going to retire at age 61 with how much?
6.4 million.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Even if
I can retire on that.
even if the spending power of your money's gone down, you can probably retire with $6 million in the bank. That'd be okay.
And what's interesting about this is that 6.4, I mean, obviously it has to work out, right? I couldn't, lose half my money at some point for this number to continue.
Yeah, you got to continue making that money.
And yet, I lost my train of thought. What's cool about this is that's with no more money invested.
That's true.
So I'm not having to invest $100,000 every year or $5,000, or this is just a one-time investment and 6.4. So if you're adding other investments on top of this, it can be much bigger.
So for your friends who came out of college in debt,
Yes.
okay, they probably lost the first 6 years getting out of debt,
So
and then the next 6 years trying to put away $100,000. Right, so they lost 2 of the doubling periods. So even if they're really smart and start getting 12% rate of return, they're going to make about 1.6 million at age 61 compared to your 6.8. I'd rather retire with you.
me too. And I want to be clear here that if you did go to school and you are in debt, or maybe you're a bit older and you
We can
haven't
fix
started
that.
saving, we can fix that. we can help you with that.
We can help
It's
you.
not too late.
No.
There's a saying that my tree planting friends had, which I loved, and that was, when's the best time to plant a tree?
20 years ago.
20 years ago is the answer. And the next best time is today.
Right.
So it's not too late.
So let's talk about real estate, because you were getting close to over 100 in your first year, and it started dropping.
It drops, yeah.
But typically we can get 20 to 30% on average if we re-leverage every 5 years. So at 24%, because that's a nice round number.
That's a nice round number.
Your money doubles every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
I don't even want to do this.
Let's do it. I think people will like this.
Are you serious?
We can stop at 12 or something, but we'll start going down the track.
Okay, I'll keep track of the years. You keep track of the money.
Okay,
How's that?
let's do it.
Okay, so year 3,
Yeah.
your 100,000 investment became
200.
200. Year 6,
You have 400.
year 9,
You have 800.
year 12,
1.6 million.
year 15,
3.2 million.
year 8,
6.4 million.
year 18, year 21.
I lost it. 12.8 million. So we'll stop there.
No, you gotta go a little further. Year 24.
So you're at, what is it?
24. Forget the points.
Okay, 24 million.
24. Okay. Year 27.
48 million.
Year 30.
96 million.
Year 33.
So 100 and almost 200 million.
Almost
We're getting
200
close
million.
there.
Okay. And year 36.
So you'd be like 400 million.
Just about 400 million.
Yeah, just under it.
What could you do with 400 million?
Do a lot of good.
You just took 100,000 and made it 400 million, but there was a little bit of work involved.
Yeah, there's lots of work. And there's lots of,
So you got to be a landlord.
No, you don't have to be.
No?
So, a lot of people also come to me and they're like, Ryan, we've heard all these horror stories about investing in real estate. Mm-hmm. It's worked for you, but I just don't know if it'll work for me. And the reality is there's a lot of things you can do to get a good tenant, certain price points, certain conversations, credit checks. There's a lot of things you can do to make sure you get a good tenant.
Quality of house.
And I talk about those in a video series that we're going to be launching shortly to the Dekker Team.
Really? How do they get those videos?
So if you want to get these videos, and it's going to cover everything we covered today and a lot more, you can either send the Dekker Team an email.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah.
Info at Dekker Team. Yep. With the subject matter
of investor
investment
videos.
Video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we'll start sending you this series once they're ready. After I'm done here, I'm actually leaving to go finish filming in another studio.
Okay.
And so those are coming out soon. And so again, everything's in there. Also, you can call us at 613-860-4663. And just tell us that you want to get on the email list for that, and we'll get them out to you.
Awesome. Now, if they want to be able to ask questions, because videos are great, they give you all kinds of information. Yet, if they want to ask questions, there's an opportunity for you to come to our wealth building workshop, where we discuss this and much, much more. Mm-hmm. And that's held the second Thursday of each month. So if you'd like to sign up for that, give us a call at 613-860-4663, or you can send us an email at info@dekkerteam.com and just say you want to sign up for the wealth building workshop.
Awesome.
So that's great. So what else you got for us, Ryan?
Like I was saying with the people who don't necessarily want to be a landlord,
yes,
but want to invest in real estate, there's a ton of different ways to invest, as well as getting a property manager they're gonna find the tenants, they're gonna make sure the tenants are paying their rent, and they'll give the eviction notices. And I have quite a few clients that go that route because they want the high rates of return, but they don't want the hassle. Okay,
so you actually will get a little less return if you use a property manager. So you might have 200 million at the end instead of 400 million.
But a lot less hassle, yeah.
Okay, I can still live with that.
You still live with that, good.
Yeah. Now, some people think it's all about the money. Is it really about the money?
It's a good question.
Well, I think money is simply energy, and it has the power to move things because it's energy. And it took energy to create the money, and the money has energy. So you can actually use that money to feed people, to educate people, to improve healthcare, to look after yourself, to go on trips, to go on missions, to do kingdom work instead of personal work. There's so many things you can do with money, and I find that the majority of people that build wealth, it's not about the money. Well, it's about what you can do.
Yeah. Well, at some point, money, it's exciting, but it just becomes money. right? It stops being, you don't need any more for your family, you don't need any more for yourself. So, do you buy a bigger boat, a bigger car, a bigger house? But I think there's more to life than that. And I know that's what you're getting at here, is once you get to a certain amount, it also opens up new doors, which is really interesting. So for example, if you saw a really wealthy person that you know who's famous, you might go up to them and start asking them all these questions and want to invest with them and have all these, you really want to know from them. However, so they have a lot of influence, is what I'm trying to say. Right. And then someone who's, not done that well with their money, you may not go ask them those kind of questions, because people generally ask you questions about things you're great at.
So it increases your platform, gives you an opportunity to talk to people about the Lord.
About, the Lord, right. About whatever God, because I believe God's put key things in everyone's hearts that He's made them specifically for. And so when you start to do those things and become more influential, the doors just keep getting bigger and bigger and open more and more.
Very cool. So we're going to talk about one of our properties we have for sale.
Awesome.
We have a really nice property just outside of Kempville, actually. This is a bungalow, would make a great retirement home or starting out home. It's 2 bedrooms on the main level, gas fireplace, open concept living area with vaulted ceilings. And there's a den as you first come in, so a great office, garage with inside entrance. And then downstairs, got a finished family room, really nice size, with a gas fireplace down there as well. A 3rd bedroom, great for that teenager retreat, and a huge storage room with a furnace and that kind of stuff. It's on city services.
Oh.
And it doesn't back the golf course, but it is in a golf course community, and there's a nice fitness kind of building, social building for the community that's just being finished up. It'll be finished up this summer. And so what a great property, and it's under $400,000.
Wow.
So, and relatively new, hardwood floors, granite countertops, it's just gorgeous. So I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know why my phone's not ringing already, but the number, if you want to call on that bungalow, is 613-860-4663. We're so glad you joined us on the Inside Track on Real Estate, and we'd love to get together. So if you'd like to come to our wealth building workshop, 613-860-4663, and sign up and join up, and we'll have frank conversations about what really is the truth on financial matters, and really dispel some of the myths around tax-free savings accounts and RSPs and all kinds of things. So we don't necessarily take the bank's point of view. We have our own point of view, and you can come and check us out. 613-860-4663. Thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate. Bye for now.
What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you.